Hi, Nick here. So welcome to the sprint that um, over the past 2 weeks. Well, it's been a very challenging sprint. We've completed some things and we did not complete other things. So it's really a mixed bag. So let's start with the good. So the good is we do have a temperature log entry for existing users and as well as Google Analytics. We also have an improved message search that I am, so the improved message search, if you guys can see my screen here, basically I can go on the SMS and I can type, if I want to search for Nick, here it is. And then I can see my history, but really it's about this box here. So I believe that that functionality was demoed last sprint, but that functionality only searched the current loaded page for messages and would only filter for that. What I just demoed here actually goes onto the server and fetches new record across all the messages in the database and comes back and displays it back on the screen. I also fixed the N+1 problem that this page was having. I believe this page was running between 200 to 300 queries in the background for each page render. And now it actually only runs about 3 queries in order to gather all the data and display it back on the page. So huge improvement. However, as I said, it was a challenging sprint. There's a few things we could not complete. One of them was timesheet. It is almost complete. It's still in testing, but because the sprint ended today and it is not ready for production yet, it still requires testing. We basically cannot include it into the success list of stories. We also found that there is a bug in the log entry for visitors, which is why we could only release the log entry for existing users for temperature. Anyway, so basically what happened, right? It's one thing to say, hey, we couldn't complete those stories, but really what happened? Well, I think that from my side, I think some of the stories were a little bit big, or maybe were a little bit more, not vague, but maybe not broken down properly. Or I could have done a better job breaking down the stories in a more significant manner that would not have confused Olivier and Dennis in some instance. But really, I mean, the main factor was also that stories were not moving consistently across the board each day. And so at the end of the sprint, basically in the past 3 days, there was somewhat of a rush to get everything tested, deployed, and tested again because there were some bugs and basically which led to not being able to complete the timesheet on time. No pun intended. What else? Yes, so basically what ended up happening is maybe because the story were not broken down, I didn't break down the stories well enough. Basically, some of the stories ended up, especially for the timesheet, ended up being grouped into one branch, which made it a lot more complicated to test and to work with. So I also noticed that engineers were working on multiple stories at once instead of working on stories sequentially. So anyway, my mistake for not noticing sooner the aggregation of those stories into one branch. So I looked at the policy in the handbook, and sure enough, there is a mention of creating a merge request when you pick up a story, but there is no real explicit statement that says that there should be one merge request per stories, and I think that's where we actually need to move to. Anyway, so that's kind of my on my to-do list to actually reflect at really what happened and come up with a plan on how to improve that. I think it's a great learning experience for personally and as a team. I think that it really it's a great opportunity to figure out how to be able to push stories consistently throughout the sprint, and having the ability to, or a chance at least, to fix issues much sooner, and we can actually push to production consistently throughout the sprint as well. So that's one thing that we really knew that I really need to work on, and that's also something that the whole team needs. We're going to have to work on this. There's also a nice case study for how we can make stories much more deployable and actually independently deployable, so that merge requests or stories or the code from the stories can don't have to be bunched into one merge request. So anyway, overall, yes, it's a little bit disappointing, but a lot of work has been done, and hopefully timesheets will go out sometime this week, either tomorrow or in the next couple of days. To go back on the engineering dashboard, so I think just because the timesheet are not going out, are not part of this sprint or are not counted in this sprint, the dashboard really looks quite underwhelming. So in the past 2 weeks, we worked on about 7 stories. We had 9 merge requests the previous week, and this week we only had 7. So that's a total of 16 merge requests. Nothing really to write home about compared to the previous week, which were basically 13 and 11. Our code coverage has improved somewhat. I believe also that if we were to pull in the timesheets, that would really not greatly, but significantly improve by about 3 or 4%. I believe it was about 53 to 54% full coverage, with improvement on the Rails side code coverage and improvement on the React side code coverage. One of the notable things to notice is that at the end of the previous sprint, we were at about 15%, and now we are actually at 16% on the React side, which is, it means that, every chance we get, we actually improve our code coverage. It's wonderful. A very positive note, our rollback, basically our production issues and error reporting on the back end in production has, not the back end, on the front end, has greatly diminished. So we were, at the end of last sprint, we had 46 rollback issues, and this week and the week prior to that, that accounts for this sprint, we basically had 8 issues per week, which is very little. So that's very positive. It means that we don't really have any problem in production right now. Our code is running very smooth. So that's a very good positive note. Thank you very much.